The Raptors did the impossible last night and they closed out a game. We've got the latest. This is Hoop Talks. Welcome back, you guys. I'm Noor Zainab. Next to Justin Pooni, Jelani Goodridge-Reid off to my side over there. And we're celebrating a Raptors win. They closed out a game leading throughout the entire way through.
Yep.
And they also scored 49 first quarter points, the most in franchise history. There was a second there, I think, at the beginning of the fourth, where it looked like actually we might be going back into that little hurdle that the Raptors seem to not leave alone in the fourth quarter. But this is the first time I've seen them comfortably, properly close out a game 125-110 against Nikola Jokic's Nuggets. Guys, how are we feeling?
Great. Right?
Rarity, man. They
Very
closed
rare,
it
man.
out on in the fourth quarter. I think that was the biggest thing because it was getting dicey. They have, of course, dropped the franchise record 49 points, as you mentioned, in the first quarter. Had 24-point lead. They have let that go way down to 6 points, and everybody's probably like, "Oh, here we go again." But to their credit, they put up 27 points in the fourth quarter, held Denver to only 18 points. They actually showed up. Impressive win by the Toronto Raptors, being the best team in the West, who Coach Mike Malone agrees that they play no defense, which was true.
Yeah.
But the Raptors took advantage of that, and they got a much-needed victory.
We'll get to that in a second. But Jelani, does this tell you that maybe we can keep a little bit of hope moving forward? Where's your head at?
A little bit of hope for sure. You have to have that hope. I think for the top 6, that's long gone in my opinion. But I still think that if you're looking at that 7th, that 8th spot, it's still likely that there's a shot to maybe get that 8th. Maybe the 7th is a bit too far at this point, but I'm saying to myself, the Raptors could try to get an 8th. I think an 8th is the highest we could probably get. Washington did win yesterday, so the fact that we got one done was huge for us, and there is some separation that we see with the teams at 6 and 7 like that. But I think that moving forward, we have a few games coming up where the Raptors could get them done. I know OKC's balling as of late. I know that Minnesota is a playoff caliber team, but those teams, you could try to get those ones done. You're at home once again, right? So you never know. And then moving forward, you have Indiana, you have the Detroits, and then Washington again. So I do think it's possible. I loved what we saw last night, especially from that guy on the screen, Fred VanVleet.
Mr. Fred VanVleet, he was he just did everything the other night. But I do want to mention something about him and what he's been, how he's been able to carry this team after coming back from injury, after coming back from his daughter's birth, family problems, all those things. I think him being that guy who can lead this team in those crucial moments, even when his shots aren't falling, you see his defensive effort, his facilitating, all those things.
Yeah.
But being that big contribution, helping the team get their first ever 49 points in the first quarter, does this tell you that maybe the Raptors should try their hardest to keep Fred VanVleet in the offseason?
Yeah, because he's such a piece. He's such a big piece to this puzzle. To me, he's the backbone of the Toronto Raptors. I know that Pascal Siakam might be the guy that people consider to be the best on the team, but the heart and soul of the Raptors is Fred VanVleet. So again, he wants a high price, right? That 35 plus million. So, and you might want to give it to him just because of how he's come up on this team and where he's come from, from Wichita State and being undrafted, and he's paid his dues, and I think he deserves a big deal. I do. Even though at times, there might be questions to whether or not he is, a championship caliber point guard and things of that nature. I still like Fred VanVleet. I would pay him personally. But again, we talked about it in the last show. When you play against these teams like the Denvers, these top teams in the West, the top teams in the East, you want your guys to step up. And Pascal's not always going to score, right? And we're seeing right now he's in a stretch where he's struggling. So who's going to step up? Who's going to be that other dude? That's Fred VanVleet. And so that's why I was very impressed with him. Moving forward, we're going to need him. We're going to need him every time in the playoffs when the Raptors do make the playoffs and stuff like that.
When they
Fred
do?
is such.
If they do.
No, I'm saying like in the past.
Okay,
he's been an important piece, right? So moving forward, if you want to be a playoff team, you're going to need Fred VanVleet.
They definitely. You need a guy that can put the ball in the basket, and Fred VanVleet can put the ball in the basket. Again, he's been very inconsistent this year, been up and down, but nights like that show you why he was an all-star caliber point guard, why he is a guy who, like you mentioned, he is the heart and soul of the Toronto Raptors. And I don't think that's Pascal Siakam might be the best player, but we know this is Fred VanVleet's team. This is his city. This is his franchise. It was very 36 and 7,
36, yeah.
right? 8 3-pointers. Now I'm not expecting that to go forward, but if Fred can continue to put up, any from 20 points a game to 6 assists a game, that he gets that consistently and plays and is a leader. I saw this one moment before I was watching the game. It was one of the, he dumped off to Scotty in the middle, and Scotty went up for the finish, and he was talking to Scotty as they're cutting to commercial, going back to the bench. And I thought that was a true sign of leadership, trying to coach up the young guy, to give him words of encouragement. That is what the Raptors need from Fred VanVleet, is what, to be that leader.
To me, he's always also been the kind of guy who's like, I'm like, if he gets traded, he's going to be a Raptor killer. He's going to, not just a Raptor killer, he's going to have nights where I look at the box sheet or Bleacher Report has like his 10 highlights put together. I'm going to be like, that's what we left. That's what we missed out on. And even if he's not contributing the way that we want him to, let's look at the team. The team's not doing anything well right now either. So we can't expect individual performances to carry people over, but Fred's doing that. Now, good stuff aside, I do have to bring up this one little thing here.
Uh-oh.
We know the Raptors they almost kind of pretty much got the win their first time with the Denver Nuggets in Denver, Colorado. This time, I was watching the game. We had the 49 points in the first quarter. Very happy, but I was holding my breath still. Throughout the entire game, still. That fourth quarter came, we were down by 5 points. I looked at that and I was like, this is the team that I know. This is that 49 points was not the team that I know, but this is the team that I know. And the Denver Nuggets, on the other hand, they've lost their 3 straight games of the past that they played, right? So they played against the Bulls, they lost that. They played against the Spurs, they lost that. And they played against the Brooklyn Nets. Now this is their 4th loss in a row. Does this loss say more about the Raptors turning their stuff around or the Nuggets struggling?
I think
now?
The Nuggets are in a slump, right?
But
I think so.
The thing with the Nuggets is like they're just not playing defense. And Mike Malone is clearly upset. We saw in his post-game comments and stuff like that. But full marks to the Raptors. You can't as much as Denver's struggling, the Raptors need to play well, and they played well, and they won, right? Yeah. But Denver, again, they're kind of locked in that first seed. They're going through this lull in the season where they kind of have, the first seed locked up, so they have nothing really to play for.
I think it was more like the Raptors definitely playing for something. They need to win these games. And Denver, their offense also wasn't shooting well from downtown.
They might even
24%.
just be getting themselves ready for a playoff matchup. That they're like, what? I don't like that first seed. I want the second one. I want that guy over there. It's because I think they match up better there. The Raptors, for the first time, like we said, got themselves a secure win. We're happy. We're lucky. But they have a homestand coming up against the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and then they go on to playing in Milwaukee, taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll talk about that next.